All right, guys, this is Paul Singh, the Market Speculator, with the trade report for Friday, April 28th, 2017. We've got Amazon and Google gapping up. I'm recording this Thursday evening. If anything major happens, I'll send an alert out or a note out pre-market. But Amazon here, after today testing the highs, gapping up 30 to 40 points after hours. The expectation is it'll continue tomorrow, at least pre-market, and then we'll see what happens during the day. But looks like a strong move. Now, sometimes you get these weird things that happen where after hours you get the big gap up and it reverses the next day. But as of now, both of these guys look really strong. Google doing the exact same thing, although it's broke even higher off these highs even before that. And we're going to clear a key psychological level here, which is 900. And we're going to watch for two things here: our standard earnings breakout plays, continuations, and the potential for a failed breakout. So we'll be watching for all of that over the coming weeks in these two stocks. And whatever happens, we should get a good trade out of them. But I won't do anything with them now. Much like with Netflix, we had the gap down, but then we got a really good trade once everything shook out. And that's what we're going to be doing with Google and Amazon. Now let's get to the indexes. SPY here, still right at those highs, consolidating for 2 days after a big breakout here. We want to see that break now. I'd like a little more consolidation actually. So the really nice way to play this would be, for us, would be if we consolidate for a few days and sometime next week we get the breakout. IWM lagged a little bit, but not by much, still consolidating as well after some big gains. And the Qs led mostly because of big tech here, and you see the nice continuation move, not even pulling back here. So everything looking good there. IBB looking really strong. We took today's bounce in LABU to take profits here in LABU, and we also took profits in our ERY position, which is essentially an energy short in going long the inverse ETF. So here we took profits up around 1260 something. Pulled back in a little today, but as we can see here, energy continues to get crushed, although it put in a hammer here. So maybe it's ready to bounce now. But we took those two profits today. Right now, basically, aside from the hedge from last year, no positions, and we're just going to build now as the market starts to show strength. Before we get to the focus list, the new additions to the focus list, let's look at some lagging sectors. We've got XLF here, which is pulled back and lagging, not even over its 50-day moving average. So financials not doing quite as well. And then some of the high-flying bricks also not doing quite as well, although Russia has come back up a little bit here. And then gold is also pulling back quite a bit, and we know all about oil. Oil has pulled back, but maybe this is a hammer here and it starts to bounce. So we'll be watching for bounce plays in some of these beaten down sectors going into next week. Now, new additions to the focus list. UA, big breakout today. Now, this was an earnings breakout, and been developing the earnings breakout list. We can see right here, this is what I've got so far for this quarter, and we'll keep adding to it. UA should be in here. Google and Amazon will likely be in here if they hold their breakouts. Today I added EXAS, and we'll go over this list more in detail on Monday. Essentially, we're looking for patterns to emerge here a week or two after they break out. So we'll keep an eye out on that, but I really like UA, and the reason I'm not necessarily waiting for a pattern here is because it's pushing into this gap level after this big breakdown last earnings. So if we can get up over 20, I won't even wait for a pattern. I'll jump in and see if we can make that push within this gap area here and maybe take profits somewhere in the middle. So we're going to be watching that really closely. Big breakout off a downtrend, range-bound downtrend here with UA. So we'll be watching that very closely. Netflix, we already took profits here in Netflix, but as it consolidates, I'm going to look for a range and potentially play a breakout there. And cybersecurity stock, we've been watching this range in here, and it broke today, but needs to pull back in a little bit for an entry. And X, this one's interesting here. We took it off the list because it gapped down big. But then today, it put in this hammer that might invalidate or at least start a bounce of the gap down. So if you're aggressive, you could take a shot here. Really low risk. You'd risk about 50, 60 cents, but there's potential for 3 or 4 points off that 60-cent risk. I think I'm going to wait to see if it breaks into the gap. If it breaks in the gap, I might take a shot here, but we'll keep an eye out on X. And a lot of these we're putting on the focus list for Friday, but it's likely we don't actually trade them till next week. And then the rest of the focus list, for the most part, remains the same. A few that I really like here are BA, Boeing, testing that 184 high here. And then we've got Snap, which we were talking about here. I didn't take it. I needed to pull back in a little bit for an entry here, but looks really strong there. And then two others, Tesla, pulling back now. So let's see how it handles a 9. And if it does end up pulling back deeper, we'll look for where it ends up holding support, or we'll play a break of the high. And then finally, NVIDIA showing strength above the 50. We've been watching for that 50 cross, and we can enter anywhere between this 104 to 106 range and have a lot of room to the upside. And for all of these, we have to check when earnings is before actually entering them as well. One more development is housing is looking really strong. BZH here, and we'll talk more about this weekend. Probably won't enter any right now. Toll Brothers also getting back up over the 9 after testing the 50-day moving average. So another sector to add to some of those other sectors we talked about yesterday that we're adding to our watch list. And again, I'll go over more of that for Monday's report. But specifically for tomorrow, maybe I take a shot at one of these stocks we just mentioned, but these are all stocks that are setting up for potential entries, if not tomorrow, then maybe next week.